What's good, people? VMV in Heezy, episode 40. Me, Rory Spooner, James Veck back again. The defining week of the Premier League is upon us.
It is.
Needless to say, we are very nervous tonight because tonight, or today should I say, is Monday the 6th of May. We're recording just after the weekend's fixtures. Man City Leicester is about to kick off in about half an hour's time. Yeah. So as we're going, if there is any news, we'll keep you all posted. It might even become a reaction video because
depending on which way it goes.
Depending on which way it goes. But anyway, the football, the guts, the glory. Let's discuss it. Okay, let's start with Liverpool.
Okay.
Fabinho, how many marks did you give him for that dive out of 10?
It's doesn't even surprise me anymore, but I'd give him an 8 or a 9 out of 10 for that.
It was wholly unconvincing, yet at the same time very convincing. It's weird, isn't it weird how he just sort of just barely flopped over and the linesman... I don't know, maybe...
You didn't even think about it.
No, the linesman instinctively just give it. And I just remember thinking, did he see the same thing we all just saw?
How many times has that happened this season, though?
Because even if that was... Because VAR wouldn't bring that back, would it?
I don't think so, no.
So
or would it?
Or would it? I don't know. I mean, it's a free kick. It's not a penalty.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean...
But I'm sure they can go back and look at incidents, though, can't they?
I have no idea how... If anybody knows, let us know how... VAR or VAR would work in that situation because, as to the best of my knowledge, I mean, if the goal required VAR, they could look at it, but the incident before the goal, I mean, it's already been given.
True. I thought that if there was a case, if there was like a very, very bad challenge, for example, they could go back and review if it was like a red card offence or something like that. So if they could do it for that, I
honestly don't know. But what I do know is human error occurred. Liverpool fans are delighted, obviously, that Fabinho won them the free kick. If the shoe was on the other foot, they'd have started a petition to actually get the game replayed, right? Because it was a really bad decision. Like I said, the footballing gods, I think they just want Liverpool to win. Tonight's going to be the defining moment, though. Yeah,
they do, but I think their luck may have potentially run out at the very last of the season because that does depend on if City beat Leicester. Because if Man City beat Leicester, then I think they're home and hosed.
Yeah, they are.
But obviously Salah now has just been ruled out injured, and so has Firmino.
Keita as well is out,
Obviously he'll be a miss, but the Firmino and Salah will be the two biggest misses.
Yeah.
Obviously them being, they make up two out of the front three, which has just caused so many problems for the sides that they've played.
Yeah.
So they're 3-0 down already to Barcelona. That was a task in itself anyway.
Yeah, they won't come back from
those
that.
Two. I would go as far to say that they're dead and buried in that game.
Yeah, that's dead in the water now. That's nothing to focus on.
And should they need to go out and beat Wolves and do their job next week, should City win tonight, missing Keita, Firmino and Salah, like you said.
D-Studge is back in, and D-Studge has probably got a bet on Wolves to score first as well.
Probably has, yeah.
Fucking hell.
So towards the end of the season, or the penultimate weekend, two big injuries for them. So.
They are big injuries.
They've got a game to Barcelona and potentially a game against Wolves that they need to win.
I think they can get away with Keita not being there, even though he is a very good player, actually.
Yes.
But the other two, like you said, Bobby White Teeth, as I call him,
the lesbian.
Bobby White Teeth, the lesbian, and Salah or Salah, depending on which commentator you listen to. Both very big losses, but those are the negatives. There are positives for Liverpool.
Indeed, there is.
Van Dijk, I think, on the weekend. He had a rough midweek, right? And that's putting it mildly, because Messi fucking tormented Liverpool. And you can't legislate for Van Dijk's defending, because who can defend against that?
No, I mean,
it's impossible.
He certainly didn't do bad, Van Dijk.
No, I thought he did okay. I actually thought Liverpool played very well.
They did play well.
Very well.
And Van Dijk was more than satisfactory enough the way in which he played. You could argue it. There's two ways that you look at the first Barcelona goal. You either just credit how good the goal was, or if you're being critical, which there is, I would say, I can understand a little bit of why people are being critical, because they're saying, obviously the ball from Jordi Alba is world class.
Yes, great.
You've got to say that first of all. And the movement and the timing of Suarez's run is also world class. But at the same time, Van Dijk is a world class centre half. So there's people who are saying that he should have matched his run and maybe he should have read the situation better, like he's done all season. Maybe slightly critical, but for the standards that Van Dijk has set, then maybe people aren't too far saying he could have maybe done something.
He could have, but you know what? Irrespective, he's the best defender in the world. He's the best defender in the world right now. Just going back to what you were saying, I tell you what, we'll actually touch upon the Barcelona game very quickly.
Yeah.
Luis Suarez is a bastard. His teeth are offside, and he's a bastard. Liverpool fans were enraged with the way he celebrated that goal, and that's life. That's football. He is a hired gun. That's what he is.
I honestly think that the fact that he celebrated is not what makes him a bastard. What makes him a bastard is he bites people and he spits on people.
And
that's what makes him a bastard. Yeah, and that too. I never have a problem with players celebrating against old clubs. Yes, it depends on how soon it is. In this case, not very soon. It's been done and dusted a while now. And two, it depends how bad they celebrate. If they're really trying to stick it,
he kind of did, in fairness.
He was just overjoyed. I mean,
with all due respect, there's no need for him to be overjoyed. It's only the first goal out of a two-legged tie
in the semi-final of a Champions League.
Or even then, just shake everyone's
just
hand.
Say, if an ex-player does that to us, I sort of say, well,
I get it is what it is, but I would be vexed if I was a Liverpool fan.
It frustrates me when you're a football player and you score an important goal or a good goal, and you feel that you can't celebrate.
But there is an emotional attachment, right, to a lot of Liverpool fans who showed him an awful lot of respect.
And look what he did for them at the same time, isn't it?
He did a lot for them, and he really carried that Liverpool team on his back. So I do think he should have shown a little bit more respect. That's my opinion on it.
I'm a bit more cutthroat on that.
Yeah,
I think that this is your club now, and you feel free, you celebrate, But, that aside, Van Dijk didn't really make any other major mistakes. I thought he was okay. Just that it's just that thing that the best, or one of the best footballers in the world,
ever,
attacking players,
the best
versus
player ever,
one of the best defenders in the world. The attack is always going to come out on top.
Yeah, 9 times out of 10. Yeah. The Van Dijk. I wouldn't say he got the run around against Barcelona, but he did struggle a little bit at times. But he redeemed himself a lot on the weekend. I know it's only Newcastle, and for any Newcastle fans out there, I'm sorry. Again, that's not a diss. But, his header, which was the freest header I think I've ever seen in Premier League history. If there is a freer header, I would love to know what it is. Because he had the entire St. James's Park to himself.
I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
It's like the Red Sea just parted and Van Dijk just went...
When I see things like that happen in professional football, I genuinely question how.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it?
You've got professional athletes that are being paid a lot of money. They work on those sort of things every day in training. It's
not like he's a small guy and you can't pick him up. You know he's there.
They work on set pieces, they work on corners, they work on defending. They've got defensive coaches, they've got set piece coaches, they've got people who analyse all of this information in advance, and who would be telling them that Van Dijk is a threat as much as any from a set piece or a corner kick.
You don't really need a whole team of backroom staff to tell you Van Dijk is a threat. Well,
apparently you do, because they put the ball in the box and he was there on his own.
Well, next time just have a big
the key to St. James's Park.
Just have a big red arrow over his head, right? Just pointing down. There he is there. Yeah. How they missed him, I don't know. But anyway, good finish on that.
Yes, the ball came to him, he had to put it in the net and he did just that. You said there's no diss to Newcastle fans when you said that, he redeemed himself against Newcastle. We're just merely pointing out that the quality of players that they have compared to Barcelona is a lot less. So
it is. Yeah.
It will naturally be that little bit easier to be able to be able to control a game against a Newcastle player than they would against a Barcelona player.
It's facts. That's very true.
But they did have their difficulties against Newcastle.
They did.
What I will say as well, that the Newcastle side of now is massively different to the one in the first half of the season.
Oh yeah,
so especially
they're like two different teams though.
Yeah,
they're like two different sides.
It wasn't an easy game, as we saw and as it turned out, and going away to St. James's Park is never easy either, especially when Newcastle are playing decent football, and they made them work for it. There was many a point in this game where I actually thought that they were going to choke again, and Liverpool, like they did against Crystal Palace, Cristambul.
Cristambul, yeah.
When they were 3 up at the time. Was it 3 up?
I can't even remember.
Yeah, 3-0 up and then drew 3-3. They just weren't playing very well. There was things they weren't creating much. I think Salah went off injured.
He went off crying. Again, I'm not entirely sure why he was crying, because the season's pretty much over.
That's what reminded me of Crystal Palace, because Suarez cried after the game as well.
I don't really get that whole crying situation. One thing I did notice from a leadership standpoint was Van Dijk, when he told Trent they were going for the outswinger. He told Shaqiri, no, do the in-swinger. Great leadership and courage. The fact they listened to him as well. You know, like, for example, you had Kepa earlier on in the season where he completely disregarded everything that was said to him. And he said, no, fuck you, I'm doing what I want to do. The players actually around them are all on the same wavelength. So they said to Van Dijk, okay, yeah, we'll listen to you. That shows leadership, it shows courage, it shows togetherness, it shows a belief in each other that I think a lot of other teams lack in the Premier League. So shout out to Van Dijk for that, because that was impressive. Yeah,
no, 100%. And Liverpool, they were lucky to keep Alexander-Arnold on the pitch.
Carragher said that could be the defining moment in the title race. That if Newcastle hadn't scored, he'd have had to have gone. They'd have been down to 10 men. It would have been a struggle. I don't know if it would have defined the title race, but would Liverpool have gone on to win? Probably not.
The thing I'm going to say is that there's what I'm seeing a lot of on social media, and I know you mentioned it a lot about that could be the defining moment of the title, or Liverpool getting all the luck, and they are getting a lot of luck.
Huge luck.
And you know, there's you look at the Fabinho dive, you look at the other incidents that have been potential dives. You know, we can't say for certain. It's all, sometimes it's subjective, sometimes there's minimal contact, sometimes there's none. But there's been many cases this season where things have gone perhaps in Liverpool's favour. Well, I say many a times. There's been numerous occasions that these things
there has been a lot.
And you've said a lot of the time the stars are aligning, or it's
it
fate,
feels that way, bro. It really feels that way.
And you've got Carragher saying that could be a defining moment. It can be. He can keep saying as much as he likes, but if City aren't dropping points, this luck means nothing. Like, City have won 12 or 13 on the bounce now. City, he says that's the defining moment. They're getting all this luck, which is allowing them to stay in the title race and always go that one step ahead and put the pressure on. But City aren't losing games
yet.
And I hope I'm not jinxing that now.
That's bro, you just jinxed it. You know that. I haven't. Because pressure busts pipes.
I haven't
Pressure
jinxed it.
busts pipes.
I told you in December that City would win the title. I told you about 2 months ago that City wouldn't lose a Premier League game until now at the end of the season. And it's not going to happen.
I flip-flop between the two sides. And I'm not ashamed to admit it, because I don't give a fuck. I have no allegiance to either one anyway, so it doesn't bother me.
Who gives a shit? Anyway.
Yeah, I don't care either way, to be honest with you. But if I had to pick a winner, obviously it would be City. But Van Dijk, incredible leadership. I just think he's been outstanding. Very much deserved Player of the Year as well.
Yeah, I won't argue with that.
No one's going to argue with that. So Sterling got
Young Player of the Year.
Which, how old is Raheem Sterling now?
I don't.
Raheem Sterling's still like only 23, is he? Or?
Yeah, that when he was awarded that, I kind of thought, oh,
he's been around for so long.
It's just because he's been around for so long. He still fits into that young player category.
Yeah.
Even though he was probably not too far off the actually winning the PFA.
No, he would have been very close. Actually,
if it wasn't for Van Dijk, there was a very good chance for him or maybe Mane to get it.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah.
So yeah, fair play to Sterling as well. We've said a lot of nice things about him lately on the podcast, and deservedly so as well.
He's a good guy, man. I like Raheem. Trent and Robbo. Trent and Robbo, as they say up north. Hugely impressive, bro. I got this quick stat here that I know you'd like. You may have the same one potentially on there now, but I'm gonna nick it off you anyway. You do have the same one as well. I can fucking see it, but there right now. So okay, where are we? Right. So Liverpool are the first team in Premier League history to have at least 2 defenders provide 10 plus assists in each in a single campaign. So they both got 11 assists each. From fullback, that's absolutely outrageous. Now, there was a tweet last night. I'm going to bring this up because you've seen this already, but a lot of people may not have seen it. So my charges. Apologies, people, for that. Right, okay. So, yeah, you cleaned up my shit as per usual. Right, so there's a tweet from David Thompson, ex-Liverpool player. Now, I don't know who David Thompson is. His name doesn't ring a bell. He may have been...
He's got an official tick, so he must be...
He does have a blue tick as well. When I saw it, I was like, oh, who the hell is this guy? Initially, I misread it, and I thought it was Phil Thompson, but I don't think he has Twitter, does he? Because he can't spell. So. but basically, this guy put this out, right? And I was sort of like, hold up, wait a minute, something right. I was like, no way. This guy, basically, this is what he's put down. Andy Robertson is a joy to watch. His decision-making, energy and final ball is up there with the best fullbacks I've ever watched, including Cafu, Carlos, Marcelo and Alves. I rate him up there with the best in world football at this moment. End statement is perfectly okay, because he is the most informed fullback in the world.
That's what precedes that.
What comes before that, it says, is up there with the best fullbacks I've ever watched. Oh. Bear in mind, Cafu and Roberto Carlos defined a generation. They've won World Cups, bro, and they are iconic fullbacks. They're not average fullbacks, they are iconic fullbacks. Dani Alves is the most successful footballer of all time. Nobody's won more than Dani Alves. Ever. Ever. He's streets ahead, right? And then Marcelo won fucking 3 European Cups in like 4 years, right? Robertson is outrageously talented. But please, and the internet, this is the internet. This is the bad side of the internet. Just shut up. Like, some people, just keep your opinion to yourself.
And we don't give a fuck. People wonder why people don't want Liverpool to win the league. It's things like that.
It's such a stupid statement to make.
There's so much, and it's not just. And I'm not just having a dig at Liverpool. It does happen with other players for other clubs.
It happens, right, with idiots at all clubs. Yeah. But the man's got a blue tick and has played professionally. Have a bit of decorum and just be like, you know what, he's doing very well. Just use the end statement. He's up there with the best fullbacks in Europe or the world.
Opening statement where he says that he's up there with one of the best that I've ever watched. That's quite absurd in itself. Him to then go one step further and then give examples.
Bro, also, I'm pretty sure Paolo Maldini played fullback, right? Paolo Maldini now, right?
Probably the greatest.
Javier Zanetti now, bro. The man was a machine. Philip Lahm, bro. Philip Lahm. Red Neville.
He has to be in there.
You have to put him in the bracket. But
but those sort of players... and that's just off the top of my head.
That's without delving into any depth.
You keep even people like Ashley Cole.
Lilian Thuram. Bro, this is what I mean. Bro, Ashley Cole. Fuck Ashley Cole, bro. Ashley Cole is different. Ashley Cole in his prime, right, is one of the best fullbacks of all time. Yeah. It's not even a debate. Robertson is very good, but he's a long way to go before he's even considered in that bracket.
It's just ultimate jump in the gun, that is. It's Andrew Robertson.
It's called blowing your load.
That's what it is. Andrew Robertson had a good last season. He's having an even better season this year, and he's doing very, very well. He's got 11 assists. Defensively, he's very good as an all-round fullback. You can't really ask for much better at the moment.
You couldn't ask for any better.
And on current form, I certainly wouldn't disagree that he is right up there, one of the best fullbacks in the world.
I'd say he's the best in the world right now. But
I have to see the list, but of the top fullbacks and people who are playing well at the moment.
But if we look at who's left in the Champions League, right? It's Danny Rose. He's better than Danny Rose, right? It's a fact. I'm better than Danny Rose.
Jordi Alba.
I put him over Jordi Alba. I think he's a little more secure defensively than Jordi Alba.
Then again, I don't watch Barcelona every week, so it's
I know enough about Jordi Alba to know defensively he's not the best. Going forward, he's a wing back that plays.
You got Kimmich.
I'd say he's better than Kimmich right now.
I don't know.
I'd say Robson's better than Kimmich.
What also is what you don't take into consideration as well is that we watch these players every week. Where you ask someone who's a big fan of the Bundesliga, like a German, or ask a Spanish person who watches La Liga every week, they could perhaps make an equal case for these players as we are for Robertson. I
wouldn't accept it. I tell them you're wrong. I say you're wrong.
But this is why I'm saying that Andrew Robertson is right up there.
He is.
He is right up there, and that's where the statement ends. We won't.
We don't need to elaborate
too much on Andrew Robertson.
No, that's very true.
The statement ends there. He is one of, and this is a fact. He is at least one of the best fullbacks in the world.
That's correct.
The rest, can be slightly debated. But end the statement there, please.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Yeah. All right, one person I want to bring up who makes a very good living, might I add, is Divock Origi, because he comes off the bench for 10 minutes, right? Does his thing, goes home. That's a brilliant way to earn a living. Bro, a brilliant way. He comes on, and there's not even a lot of pressure on him. When you have a striker coming on, usually there's a little bit of pressure on them. They're like, we need you now. This is it. This is do or die. Sometimes I think they just give him a pair of boots and say, look, just
do your thing.
Just do your thing.
And the thing is with Origi is that he doesn't seem to have a great deal of pressure on his shoulders. Yet when they need a goal, they seem to have faith to just say, well, if Salah and Mane and Firmino can't do it, then get on.
He's not a bad player either. Let me
okay.
just stress that. He is an okay player, especially as a squad player. It's just miraculous that he keeps popping up the way he is.
Yeah, there's a couple of incidents this season where he's come on and got them the points they needed. You look back the one where it was 0-0 against Everton, where Jordan Pickford made that howler. Origi gets it's almost going over, and you remember he scoops it back in, Jordan Pickford.
Yeah, that was more Pickford than Origi, but he was there, I suppose.
Yeah, but the stats will show that he scored X amount of goals in important moments of matches that could potentially result in him winning the title.
Oh, look, if they win the title, he's going to be a hero.
So, if they do win the title, then Divock Origi would have done his bit.
Yeah, that's it.
And you go back maybe a couple of years in his Liverpool career, and I couldn't have seen that happening. It looked like he was going to get shipped out.
Origi didn't even see that happening.
So yeah, fair play to the guy. He's obviously just put his head down.
I think he only came back to train. That was it. He only came back to get fit. I don't think he realistically thought he's going to play any games, considering there's Shaqiri and Sturridge as well.
Yeah.
And obviously the lad Brewster was excellent at the World Cup. I'm going to call it the Junior World Cup, so the age grade World Cup. But he's been injured most of the season. Otherwise, he probably would have again been ahead of Origi as well. So yeah, strange how it works out.
We talk a lot on the podcast about hard work. I know you always say hard work beats talent.
Yeah, when talent doesn't work hard.
Yeah, exactly. So,
correct.
I mean, whether he saw a future for himself at Liverpool or not, whether he came back by maybe chance or whatever it was, he's obviously stayed in the fold and he's kept working hard, in training behind the scenes, and that's resulted in him being kept in contention. Mm-hmm. He gets a space on the subs bench. And when they seem that they've played all their cards, they put him on and he does what he does.
Yeah, he is. So, he's what the Americans call a Hail Mary. That's in football when it's do or die. And when I say for NFL, they go, we need a Hail Mary.
Okay, and that's Divock Origi.
Divock Origi is the Hail Mary. But yeah, shout out to Liverpool, though. We have to give credit where it's due. Again, they've kept pushing. It's gone down to the last day. Yeah. By the end of tonight, they may well even be in the driving seat. We don't know. But shout out to them. Yeah,
and just finish up with a couple of stats as well. It's quite nice this one's come up when we spoke about substitute contributions. Liverpool have scored 12 Premier League goals via substitutes this season, which is more than any other team. And I think Shaqiri and Origi probably account for most of those.
I would say so, yeah.
Yeah.
I would say so.
And Newcastle's Solomon Rondon has hit double figures for goals in the Premier League season for the first time ever. So just one for you Newcastle fans.
Do you know what? I actually had a Rondon stat as well. Actually, yeah. While I'm here, I'll bring it up now because
it's different to that one, is it?
It is different to that one. Yeah, it's actually a pretty good stat as well. So bear with. Where have I got this? Oh, for God's sake. You'd think I would be prepared and have this.
Yeah, you've only had all weekend.
I've literally only had 2 days.
I've been in a hot tub all weekend and I'm more prepared.
Yeah, I will find it now. Basically, the stat says Rondon is very important. that's
you know what? That's absolutely true.
And that's what it brings down to. Yeah, I will find it now. It is actually pretty decent.
And as Newcastle fans will know, and most football fans will know, Newcastle have struggled to kind of find a player that's going to get them double-figure goals over the most recent seasons.
Rondon and Perez have been absolutely vital.
Especially in the second half of the season, they've looked a little bit revitalised. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Rafa Benitez is a very good manager.
Yeah, he's a class manager.
In terms of the whole season as well, because it's all well and good being very impressive for the first half of the season, but if you start to go on a losing streak like Bournemouth did for a little while, we said up until October, November time with Bournemouth for kicking around the top sort of 7.
Yeah.
How much can Bournemouth do? And it turns out not very much.
Jack all.
So it's a 38-game season, which is a long time. And Rafa Benitez did it last season. He's done it again this season. I think they're hovering around about not too far from mid-table now. Newcastle, should got to be here somewhere. They're 14th. So they're
so that's a decent return.
They're well clear of the relegation zone. Obviously they're safe, and a lot of that's down to Benitez. Obviously you've got to give great credit to Rondon and Perez and Almiron as well.
Since he came in, a big difference. Yeah. The stat I had, only Eden Hazard, who's on 48%, has had a hand in a higher proportion of his team's goal in the Premier League this season than Rondon, which was 45%.
Do you know who would be topping that poll if it wasn't for a bad a couple of injuries that he's had?
Do tell.
Is Mazzolino.
Oh, yes, Mazzolino.
He's been back in the goals.
He did bang on the weekend.
And if it wasn't for Brighton's sort of dry spell, I'm sure he would have been about 70%.
Yeah, he would have actually, yeah.
But no, that's a good stat for Rondon, yeah.
It is. It's an incredible stat when you think about it. 45% of Newcastle's goals. So, yeah, I just thought that was a nice stat to bring up for Newcastle fans.
Indeed.
Even though they lost, not the end of the world. They're safe. They can enjoy
a good performance.
Enjoy the season. Yeah. Cool. All right, we'll go into to Bournemouth Spurs. Bournemouth. Seth says. Seth was probably watching that high as a kite thinking, are we ever going to win this game? And how they left it so late, I'm not entirely sure. I know people say that historically it's more difficult to beat 10 men than it is 11. It must be 9. Really difficult to beat 9 because Spurs were lucky. I think maybe Eric Dyer tried to get the game abandoned at one stage because he was flying into tackles, and these were like 19 tackles from the 80s. Eric Dyer didn't give a single fuck.
No.
He wanted Achilles snapped. He wanted ankles broken.
Thought he was Eric Dyer. He
wanted blood. I don't know what came over Eric Dyer, aka Declan Rice 2.0, right? Because he is the North London Declan Rice. They're the same player. They are the exact same player, right? They might even be the same person, right? They might just play. I do not know. I might need confirmation on that. But Spurs try to get the game abandoned. There's no rules. They didn't give a fuck.
Would they then have lost 3-0 though?
Bro, they took off Alderweireld because for some reason, I don't know why Pochettino took off Alderweireld, because he's their most experienced defender and their best defender, might I add. Mm-hmm. The guy is an international player. He's played football at an incredibly high level. For some reason, Pochettino thought we'd better bring on Juan Foyth to calm this situation down. And Juan Foyth, the wet wipe of the weekend, again, turns around and says, guess what I'm going to do, and almost takes off a Bournemouth player's kneecap.
Amputate somewhere.
Jesus Christ almighty. I've seen some tackles in my time, but he must have just thought, Eric Dyer's doing it, why can't I do it? And he just ploughed into the action. I don't know who it was on the Bournemouth side, but I'm glad he's alright, because it was a really bad challenge.
It was close.
Oh, bro, and you thought they were bad, and then the calmest guy in the world, son, I don't know, it's just like, do you know when a kid gets bullied in the playground, right? And he constantly gets bullied, and that one day he snaps and his head goes, and then he wants to fight everyone.
And of course you never know what Son's thinking, because his facial expression never changes.
Bro, he's the happiest guy in the world. You never see him not smiling, and I don't know what. Again, the whole team, something just came over them where they just lost it. Mm-hmm. And it's weird, right? Because it was one of those games. Luckily, it's turned out well. We call it a must-win game. It wasn't necessarily must-win, but just to make sure.
It could have been.
It could have been, and it should have been.
Spurs trying their best to do something Spursy.
Well, this is what I mean.
Fortunately for Spurs, there are 2 other teams in the Premier League, which we'll shed some light on later, who they don't want Champions League. They want it less than Spurs do.
Oh, God.
So luckily for Spurs, they've lost 13 Premier League games this season.
Yeah.
13. That's a huge number of losses. Mm-hmm. And Liverpool and City, as we know, have played incredible football this season. I said to you off camera that from 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, those sides behind the top 2 have played very average football at times.
Hugely average football.
None of them seem to want to nail down that Champions League spot, even though it was there for the taking maybe 10, 15 games ago. I saw a stat with it was something like in the most recent 9 or 10 games involving the top 4 sides, there's only been 1 win or 2 wins, and the rest of them are draws because of how many they're all losing. But the 9 games before that, most of them were won. So I don't know what's happened lately with this form, but Spurs yet again are showcasing that they didn't want top 4, but they've got it anyway now by hook or by crook, because obviously United and Arsenal both drew. But it was a very weird game because early on they created quite a few chances. The man of the match, Mark Travers, Bournemouth's keeper. He is 19 years old and 351 days, which makes him the 5th different teenage keeper to keep a clean sheet on his Premier League debut.
Do you know, I've got a stat here about Travers, actually. The first teenage goalkeeper to start a Premier League game since Joe Hart in 2006. Big stat. That's very impressive. It's actually it's kind of weird that since 2006 there hasn't been a teenage goalkeeper, because generally teenage goalkeepers, you can throw them in sort of in nothing games.
You kind of get away with it.
And you can kind of get away with it. So I'm quite surprised at that, to be honest with you.
No, that's a good stat, that is. But yeah, they left it late, Bournemouth, but they kept knocking on the door. What do you think of the red card decisions?
Fucking Stevie Wonder could say they were red cards. Let me tell you, they were all red cards.
There was one or two Spurs fans that complained about the Son red card.
No, not at all. He got set up. He got done. He got tricked.
Was Lerma hurt? No.
No, he baited him into it.
But I understand Spurs fans trying to say, "Oh, it was soft. He wasn't really hurt." That doesn't matter ananymore. It is irrelevant. You cannot do what Son tried to do.
No, he lost his head completely.
Yeah, you lose your head. If I push you now, it probably isn't going to hurt if I just give you a shove. But if you roll around the floor on the floor and make a meal of it in a football pitch, then I'm going to get sent off.
I'm known for falling over quite easy on a football pitch as well.
Yeah.
So
you're a little bit. When it comes to balance.
I'm very La Liga. I'll go down. I go down very easily. But then that's because I'm so fast. That's all.
Yeah. So for Spurs fans, I can understand your frustration with the Son red card, but it doesn't matter because it's still a red card. The Juan Foyth one where he thought it was Mortal Kombat. And not Premier League football. That one was
fight.
Finish him, and it almost ended in a fatality. So that one was as clear as day. So you made it hard for yourselves with 9 men. Almost managed to kind of limp your way through to a draw. But was it Nathan Ake who got the winner?
Yeah, he only got it because Wanyama fell asleep. Literally, like Wanyama must have narcolepsy because the guy was asleep standing up. I just saw the goal coming back and I was like, did Wanyama not decide to pick anyone up in the 90th minute or the whatever it was?
Decided he wasn't feeling
Wanyama just said, I'm done. Don't know about you lot, but I'm clocking off.
Yeah.
If I was Pochettino from minute 1 to minute 91 and the rest, I'd just be fucking fuming. I would have tore into them because their performance was awful. We got a few quick stats regarding it.
Yeah, I've got a couple in store of you.
You probably got the same as
me. We probably got the same. I want to cover that one because
go on, show it out. Go on.
Yeah, I want to do these two then, and I'll leave the rest to you.
Okay,
so obviously just highlighting Spurs' sort of poor form with this stat here. They've lost 6 consecutive away Premier League matches for the first time since May 2004.
That's crazy.
Now, you look at the start of the season, if I was to tell you that Spurs would go on to lose 6 away matches in a row, not draw them or not win them, they would lose
and
6.
Still finish in the top 4.
Yeah. You'd laugh at me, but that's the way it is.
It's been a joke of a season.
And so just going to a stat for Bournemouth. Now, very, very early on in the season, I gave this man my player of the weekend.
You did.
And you and Reece sort of, not so much you, but Reece looked at me in disbelief.
Oh no! In fairness, no, I kind of give you the side eye. Yeah. And I was like, really?
But Reece give me the look. He gives me that look. He's done it to me a few times where he looks at me like I've got 3 heads.
But it's also a look of sexual tension.
Yes,
as well.
It is as well. There's that as well.
It's the two.
And I know you kind of looked at me and thought, okay. I wasn't
expecting it, but it was a good shout though.
Yeah, and this guy is Ryan Fraser. So he has registered 14 Premier League assists this season. No player has more in the top 5 European leagues. Jadon Sancho also has 14.
That's very, very impressive.
He plays for Bournemouth. Seth will be chuffed with that.
Look, Seth is like, I'm getting a Fraser shirt. A Fraser. I don't know about Fraser.
A Fraser shirt.
I'm getting a Fraser shirt.
14 Premier League assists. That's more than Andrew Robertson, who's the best fullback ever.
No, but you know what though, right? to play in a Bournemouth side, get 14 assists, who have essentially fucked off since February as well, right? They haven't even bothered trying.
And he's still getting assists.
And he's still
even when they're losing 3-0.
Very, very impressive.
Not when they're losing 3-0. He doesn't get assists when they lose 3-0.
Well, maybe he does.
When they lose 3-1 and 4-1 or whatever it is.
I'd still back him to get assists.
But you look at players like Hazard, you look at players like Messi, that's just off the top of my head. there's players in European football that you think would have more assists than Ryan Fraser, but they don't. Because Ryan Fraser is a very good player.
Oh, that's very impressive. We went over our Travis stat. Juan Foyth was sent off after 133 seconds.
After coming on, is it?
Yeah, after coming on, which is the quickest after Slippy G, which was after 38 seconds against United when he stamped on Ander Herrera. Son is the 5th Asian player to receive a Premier League red card. Bear with me with the pronunciation, because I might need a little bit of work.
Of the other 4.
I'll probably get it right. Sun Jihai.
Yeah.
Litai, Hidetoshi Nakata, and Maya Yoshida.
Well done.
Shout out to me.
The one you struggled on most there was the one that was only 5 letters long.
Do you know what? It said, I don't know if it was T or Tai. Apologies to the Asian community.
You managed to get Hidetoshi Nakata and Maya
only because they're kind of relevant now.
Easier than Li T.
Is it T or Tai?
I don't know.
Well, look, shout out to him. Because
for getting the red card,
just for playing.
Well done.
Just for playing at the top level. He might have got a red card. It's not the end of the world. But yeah, since the start of the 2015-16 season, teams facing Bournemouth have received 18 red cards, 5 more than any other club has seen an opponent red carded in that time, which could have been a lot more if Eric Dyer had his way, because he wanted to take out everybody. But yeah, crazy game. Crazy game. Spurs are home and dry though. Just to quickly round off on Spurs, you are still going with Ajax, yeah? Better Ajax.
Yeah, comfortably as well.
Yeah, I fancy Ajax to win now. It'll be difficult for Spurs to go there and get anything. I mean, it is do or die. It's literally like, well, the season is complete in the Premier League. We got to throw the kitchen sink at Ajax. It might be closer than people expected. But anyway, we'll see what happens. It's going to be coming up. We'll cover it depending on what happens.
Can I just ask you a very quick question about Bournemouth?
Yeah, sure, go on.
In their debut season in the Premier League, they finished 16th. The year after, they finished 9th.
Yeah.
Last season, they finished 12th. And they currently sat in 13th, with, if results go their way, they can finish the highest of 12th again. If you're a Bournemouth fan or an owner of Bournemouth, what do you think that they need to do or they can do, being taken into consideration the size of a club that they are and obviously the limited funds that they have? Now, they've done a superb job to sit where they are, and they finished 9th, 12th and 13th so far in the last few seasons. Can you see a way in which they can potentially solidify themselves as a top 10 side, or do you think that it will just continue to be this until luck runs out?
It's too competitive. It's too competitive.
They haven't got the financial clout.
I don't even know if it's the financial clout. It's just there are teams that come in like a Wolves, and then there's a team that find their mojo like a Watford, and there's nothing you can do about it.
So do you think that it's going to be the case that Bournemouth are going to be this side that finishes around 12th, 13th for the foreseeable future?
I think anywhere between 10 and 15 they'll probably finish every season.
Because what tends to happen, you see, with clubs like this, they've been very, I don't want to say lucky with certain signings, because that comes down to good recruitment and good scouting. But it doesn't always come off. It's come off a lot for them in terms of some of the players that they've had and how well they've done.
Yeah.
It only takes like a Callum Wilson now to go, and maybe a Ryan Fraser or someone else, and they don't bring in the right replacements. Bournemouth could really fall down that table because they play good football, but that's because they got the right players to do it.
Yeah, it's very true.
You take one or two of those out, and that good football disappears. You look at the Swans.
Yeah, no, it's very true, and there are other teams as well.
It's just interesting to see really how far Bournemouth can kind of take it.
We'll soon find out. Time will reveal all. All right, quick interval from us. Add us up on the relevant social media platforms, BRB, and we'll have the best of the rest. Stay tuned, people. All right, people, we're back. V&V Podcast, episode 40. Let's get right into Arsenal.
Is it 40?
It is 40.
Oh, I thought it was 41.
No, today is 40. Last week was 39, so after 39 comes 40.
Thank you for that education. I was just,
I
don't know why I've asked that question.
Professor Spooner in the building. Arsenal against Bournemouth, episode 40. We will cover that now. No, it is episode 40. He's checking the YouTube just to make sure it is.
I just need evidence, that's all.
It definitely is. Click on the page.
That's right.
Yeah, shout out to us though, 40 episodes deep. A lot of people, as we said last week, a lot of people didn't think we'd do 4 episodes. We're 40 episodes deep. And just a quick shout out to everybody that's fucked with us and follows us and tweets us and asks us questions and gets involved with us. We love you unconditionally. We do, because you guys make it all worthwhile. It makes dropping new content exciting. It makes it fun. And long may it continue.
And to those of you who doubted us, shame on you.
Yeah, fuck you.
Yeah, fuck you.
Fuck you.
But
fuck
however,
you sideways.
I stand corrected. It is episode 40.
It is episode 40.
But I knew that. I just wanted us to have a little moment, where we can sort of celebrate.
Anyway. Yeah, we should celebrate. Episode 50, we might have to do like a giveaway or something. I don't know. We've nothing to really give away. We'll find something. Shit, we could give away a V&V
mug or a coaster.
Yeah.
For the lucky person.
Yeah, we should.
But I'm sure we can think of something.
Yeah, we should hopefully have some celebrity guests lined up. Over the summer as well.
Without saying too much.
Without giving anything away.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned indeed. Alright, cool. Here's the 40 more. Arsenal, Bournemouth. Arsenal, AFTV went off on the weekend, bro. Oh, it went off. I watched it thinking it would be relatively mild. They tore into Arsenal. Bro, they want Emery out. They want the team gone. Emery now, this season was a bit of a free hit for him. Inheriting most of Wenger's squad. He didn't have a lot of money to spend, right? And I think he's done okay. I don't think he's done that bad. He could still win the Europa League. Arsenal could be in the Champions League then next season. No one realistically expected him to be in the Champions League, though.
He's done... I don't even know if I can say okay, because...
I think he has, though. I think he's
signed
right.
badly, though, as well.
Well, this is it now. A lot of his signings have faltered towards the end of the season. Yeah. Arsenal fans really went in on them.
He hasn't, in my opinion, or he didn't bring anybody that was Champions League quality, and that's where they're aspiring to get to.
I don't think they could, though.
But I feel like Arsenal Football Club is still a big football club.
Huge football club, huge.
We spoke about them not being able to shop in certain aisles, but it doesn't mean that you can't bring in someone of Champions League quality. It doesn't mean world class quality.
I do think they're a little more restricted than your average club.
But they brought in Guendouzi, and I saw an article yesterday that's saying that he's gone from being worth 6 million to 70 million, and I just laughed aloud.
I was going to bring this article up actually because it was in the Daily Mail, and I don't know who wrote this article, right, or who even came up with these price tags, right? But Guendouzi was worth 60 million. Declan Rice was worth 50 million. Phil Foden was worth 18 million. Phil Foden has more technical ability in his left foot than those two put together.
Exactly, yeah.
And Hudson-Odoi was worth 17 million. Hudson-Odoi could be one of the players of his generation.
I don't know who crunches these numbers. I really, really don't.
Bro, it's just unbelievable.
But Arsenal, so they run United close. At the moment for the situation they're in. United are in the biggest dilemma, as we know, and we'll touch upon that ever so slightly. But Arsenal aren't too far behind in terms of the deadwood that they have. You're looking at players like Mustafi, needs to go. Yeah. You're looking at, who was it just talking about? Xhaka needs to go. We go back to front, right? So Leno is safe for now, but next season if he doesn't perform, he'll be gone. Lichtsteiner should never have been there in the first place. Mustafi needs to go. Reece at the start of the season said Socrates was a good signing from Dortmund. He has been shite. Mustafi needs to go. Lichtsteiner needs to go. Socrates needs to go. Monreal is not quality. Xhaka, no, he's not. Xhaka needs to go. Torreira, Arsenal fans have turned on Torreira. He has been very poor towards the end of the season. What I will say is he is a good player, but he's playing in a very bad side. I think if you surround him with better players, you'll see a better Torreira. He is a good player, actually. So you look at this Arsenal lineup, right? They've got two very good strikers,
quality strikers,
and that's fine. You look after that, Mkhitaryan.
Mkhitaryan might be one of the most disappointing signings.
If it were not for Alexis Sanchez to take that from him.
Even then, Mkhitaryan came right to the Premier League, and he was in the Bundesliga getting 30 goals a season or 30 assists a season, and he was pulling up
He won the Bundesliga Player of the Season.
Bro, he was absolutely doing bits, and now he's come here, and it's like he's just gone into the shell, and he's terrified.
But, I mean, you look at, Ozil, substandard again. I'm honestly looking at maybe Leno, Lacazette, Aubameyang are the three that I would definitely.
And Leno is in there at a push as well.
At a push. Koscielny can't do it anymore. His body just isn't up to it. Too injury prone.
Yeah.
And the only other Arsenal player that I would keep, and they're not keeping him. He's gone. Aaron Ramsey.
Yeah, Aaron Ramsey. Now, he really loves Arsenal to the point where he cried like a teenage girl that's missed her period on the weekend. He was bawling his eyes out. And I felt kind of bad for him because you can tell he's going to miss Arsenal. He probably really wanted to stay. Yeah. I didn't realise he's got 3 kids. So he would ideally probably like his 3 kids to be raised in London, where he's lived all his life. But now he's going to Italy. They'll have a great time, make some nice memories. But
it's a sad situation.
It's a very sad situation.
It seems like to a certain extent, Aaron Ramsey was interested at least in striking up a deal where he could stay.
It's the last big contract of his career, so I get why he'd want to monetize it as much as he did. There was a point, maybe a couple of years ago, where there was a debate, who is the better player, Jack Wilshere or Aaron Ramsey? I love Jack Wilshere as a football player. I think he's immensely talented, but Ramsey is the better player. I don't know where Jack Wilshere is. I've seen him on social media pop up doing a lap of honour round the pitch on the weekend. I heard he went off in a wheelchair after doing the lap of honour as well because he got injured. And Ramsey now is going on to bigger and better things.
Yeah.
But Arsenal will miss him dearly. They really will. They really will.
They will indeed. Yeah. And just to bring it back around what we were saying, I do think Emery still has underachieved.
I don't think he has, though. This is the thing. I
think you look
what were your expectations for Emery?
Well, I didn't know what they were at the start of the season, but they made a very good start. Yes, they played, the fixtures they had were favourable, but they had a good start. And Emery is quite highly rated as a manager.
He's a very good manager.
You look at how poor Chelsea, United and Spurs seasons have been in the Premier League, I add. Maybe not so much the Champions League for Spurs, because we know that's been very good. But I really think there was an opening for Arsenal to take that 4th spot.
There was, and I think it was they took 1 point from 4 games against Palace, Brighton. There's a couple of others I'm probably missing out. But you have to understand.
Yeah, the Wolves and Leicester they lost as well.
Wolves and Leicester, yeah. He's inherited an Arsene Wenger squad. He has. He's only had 50 million to spend.
But he did make 5 or 6 signings as well.
Yeah, but Guendouzi is a kid, right? No one expected him to do anything this season. That's what he has to work with. Torreira, has come in and has done well, but he's gone off the boil a little bit. Mkhitaryan, he had to swap to get Alexis Sanchez.
He's happy to offload Ramsey, and he signs Denis Suarez in January, who's literally done absolutely nothing. What was the point in that?
I don't know. Do you know what the thing is? The Ramsey situation is a weird one. I don't necessarily know if he's happy to offload him, in a sense that I think
he would have to be.
No, I don't think that's how it worked. I think, from what I gather, Arsenal, and it's really difficult to explain. It's not an Emery situation. It's a Stan Kroenke situation, because when they give Mesut Ozil that contract, they're not willing to offer it to anybody else, and they've made a rod for their own back. Whereas Ramsey then has gone, okay, I want parity. And they've gone, we're not going to give you parity. So I don't think it's necessarily Emery's fault.
I do think that if Emery wanted him to stay, I think he could have stayed.
Probably. I mean, they could have done more to keep him, right? But I think Arsenal's problem lies with Stan Kroenke. And again, I think Arsenal this summer now, if Arsenal gets £75 million to spend, I'd be amazed. I would be absolutely... Bro, he does not want to invest money in Arsenal. As long as money keeps coming in, he'll treat Arsenal in a very frugal way. It'll be like, okay, right, do we really need to have expenditure here? No, okay. I'm going to invest it, though, in America, not in England. I just think Arsenal under Kroenke, they can only go so far, and Arsenal fans need to be realistic about what Emery can do, especially when you're competing against Spurs with a new stadium now who are going to blow a couple of bags in the summer. You've got...
I just think that under a different manager, they could have got top 4.
I don't think they could have.
And
I think the fact they're in the conversation...
Even like someone like a Brendan Rodgers.
Oh, no, bro, no. Stop. No way. No. The fact they're even in the conversation is testament to what Emery has done this season. I think he's done very well. I think he's done well.
Okay. I'm not in agreement.
We're going to have to agree to disagree on
this.
But
that's fine, because that's football.
That is.
And I know, and that's just a different of opinion. But I do genuinely think that he has been relatively poor. I wouldn't call it a good season.
I had Arsenal. We'll put it this way: when we did our predictions, we'll open them in June just to go over it and show everybody what we had. Although mine are going to be fucking
how far wrong we are.
How far wrong we are. Where did you have Arsenal come at the start of the season?
I actually can't remember, but I think I put them 5th.
I put them 6th. So that, to me, I said Arsenal would finish 6th out of everyone. So if they finish 5th and potentially win,
is that a good season, or is it just what you expected? Because you might.
No, it's a good season. It's a good season. I mean, they're 5th. Realistically, if they come 5th and win a Europa League, is it that bad a season?
If they win the Europa League, then the season is better. If they don't win the Europa League and they completely miss out on Champions League football altogether,
I didn't expect them to get Champions League anyway. So that's the thing. Realistically, if you said to me at the start of the season, Arsenal will get Champions League, I'd have been like, no, they won't.
I just think that if you don't get Champions League, you can't call it a good season. I think it's an average season.
It is an average season, but it's better than average for me. That's what I would say. But anyway, Arsenal fans went in on them. One of them called Guendouzi a cartoon character, which might have been Sideshow Bob, which again is a little harsh considering he's only a young lad, like, do you mean, and he's trying his best. But yeah, Arsenal, they've got a lot of work to do in the summer, and Brighton, they'll do well to stay up next season again.
Unless they invest.
There's only so long you can rely on Glenn Murray to bail you out, and he did. So
yeah. I just want to sort of clear up the situation surrounding the top 4. Who qualifies for what?
Yeah, please do, yeah.
Because
give some clarity.
There's been a couple of occasions where we weren't certain. I know there's a lot of people as well who were thinking, but if they win the Europa League and they finish here, or so-and-so wins the Champions League, and where did he shuffle to? So just to clarify a couple of things for those who are a fan of Chelsea, Spurs, United or Arsenal, or just have a genuine interest. So one thing that we do know for certain is that Chelsea will play Champions League football next season.
We do that, yeah.
Okay, that's 100% confirmed. Tottenham, they technically need a point to confirm qualification, although they are pretty much home and hosed.
Goal difference.
The only way in which Spurs can fall out of the top 4, because they still can mathematically do so, just about, is if they lose their last game of the season, which is against Everton, which could be done.
Yeah.
Arsenal would then have to win. I can't remember who they play now. I think it's Burnley, and they're away to Burnley, which also isn't an easy game.
It's not an easy game.
But if Spurs should lose, Arsenal do have to win against Burnley and turn around an 8-goal difference.
If Sean Dyche's Burnley let in 8 goals, right? Sean Dyche will quit football for good.
Yeah. So if, say, Spurs lose 1-0, Arsenal will have to win 7-0 or 8-0 in order to qualify, which we know is very unlikely to happen.
Put it this way, if 2 4-0s occur, where Burnley win 4-0 and Everton win 4-0, stop the world and get it off.
So Spurs are 99.9% qualified.
Yeah.
And even if they don't, they have that opportunity where they could still qualify via the Champions League anyway. And then poor old Man United will play in the Europa League next season, confirmed. And that's it. There you have it.
There we go.
I'm sure we'll come to United in just a second, but that's just to clear up matters for anybody who was maybe a little bit confused of what happens. Okay?
Cool.
Much to say on Arsenal's performance?
It's limp.
Limp, like a limp dick.
It's just a really floppy cock. That's what it was.
The floppiest of cocks. Have we got any good stats?
For what, Brighton? I haven't got anything.
Just in general.
No.
Let's have a look. They'll probably highlight Arsenal's lack of anything, really.
Well, that's what it was. There was a lack of anything, so I'm assuming there's a lack of stats.
The only good stat that an Arsenal fan will have is that Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang has become the 4th player to reach 20 Premier League goals this season, and he is only the 3rd player in the last 11 seasons to do that for Arsenal, behind Sanchez and Van Persie.
Really?
Yeah. So obviously a shout out to Aubameyang.
Yeah.
Arsenal.
He's had a very good season.
Exactly. They haven't exactly had an overwhelming season themselves, Arsenal, and for him to score 20 plus goals is a good achievement. It's a very solid achievement.
I like Aubameyang. He's a very good player.
Arsenal are winless in their last 4 Premier League games, their longest run without the victory in the competition since February 2016. They've also failed to win both league meetings against Brighton this season, despite opening the scoring on both games, or in both games rather. They last did this against an opponent in the Premier League campaign in 2010 against Spurs. Arsenal have conceded 50 or more goals in consecutive top-flight campaigns for the first time since 1982.
Wow.
1983.
That tells you how bad that Arsenal defence is, doesn't it?
Yeah, so that highlights problems there for them. And what's this about Aubameyang? He's the 6th different player to score 20-plus goals in a Premier League season for the club, and the first since Alexis Sanchez. 2016-2017.
Mad.
Since making his debut in the competition in February 2018, only Salah has scored more Premier League goals than Aubameyang.
That shows Aubameyang is a baller.
And I think that those set of stats there completely highlight exactly what's good and bad about Arsenal.
It does. Shit defence, great going
forward.
Different
too, especially Aubameyang, excellent. Anything from there down.
As time has gone on, Lacazette's really grown into that Arsenal role as well, and I really like Lacazette. I think he's a very good player. I could fully see Arsenal winning the Europa League. Bro, they dismantled Valencia at times.
They did, but they still looked very vulnerable.
I said this to my mate. Shout out to Jonesy, right? Because he's an Arsenal fan. We're in a WhatsApp group, and he's a big Arsenal fan. And, bro, I said I've never seen a team look so good going forward, but so vulnerable at the back.
Yeah.
Like, Valencia now will target Arsenal.
It's not over.
Look,
the third goal was very important for Arsenal.
There's goals in this, right? But if Valencia get an early goal, you wonder how they would cope.
Exactly. A 2-0 victory away from home for Valencia is not inconceivable at all.
Or at home, should we say, because Valencia now are at home in this game. So Arsenal, but that's the one advantage Arsenal have is a counter-attack.
Yeah.
That is the Laka and Aubameyang. I would back them, having seen Valencia. I'd back Arsenal to get at least one, so that might be enough to see them through.
If Chelsea and Arsenal both reach a Europa League final, which could very, very well happen.
May well happen.
I back Chelsea all day long.
Do you know what? I've said I'm going to back Arsenal.
Yeah, no, I think even though Chelsea already have Champions League football, I think they'll just decline.
It'd be a great game to watch, though. It'd be really good. I'd actually like that game to happen. Yeah. So yeah, shout out to Arsenal. They've had, we'll call it an average season.
Okay.
There we go. We'll agree to disagree.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to go into United or Chelsea first?
Can we get United out of the way?
Oh God.
I know you've usually got a lot to say, but
I have nothing to say.
What I don't want from you today is a lot to say. I just want you to summarise it, and I can contribute, and we can get this fucking shit out the way.
It's really difficult for me to condense what I want to say. Although I have actually, I don't know if you saw, I retweeted it. It was on American TV, and this sums it up very nicely, and it actually condenses it very nicely as well. Do you see the tweet I put out from?
No, but I favorited it so I can go back and watch it.
It's a very good tweet, and it sums Manchester United up very well. Kyle Martino, I think he works at NBC or one of the other channels, so one of the American channels. Basically, what he said is, when Manchester United have let go of Sir Alex Ferguson, they've spent the best part of 700 million, right? And he said, when you let Alex Ferguson go, what you've got to do is rebuild the mansion, right? So when you're rebuilding the mansion, you've got to get your finances in check. So you have a financial advisor. But what you also have is an architect. So the architect is there to build the house. Manchester United don't have an architect. They let the financial advisor build the house.
Okay.
That sums it up terrifically, because Ed Woodward, for some reason, has an immense amount of power at Manchester United, and he's an accountant. He's an accountant. That's what he does. He's a suit and tie guy. He'll get a deal over the line. He'll dot the T's and he'll cross the I's and he'll cross the I's. Sorry, beg your pardon.
That's probably what he does, though.
Vice versa, should I say? Yeah. I got lost there for a moment because I got so angry thinking about him.
I know.
And that's not okay. No, it's not okay. It's not. And we shouldn't act like it is okay, because he's fucking up Manchester United Football Club, and that's all I'm saying on it.
Okay, so
I don't want to go off on a tangent here, so please stop.
No, that's fine. So where myself and yourself are aware of the situation behind the scenes. We know exactly what's happening, which is causing such a big fuck off problem. Let's bring it to the game itself, so we don't go too much.
I don't even want to talk about it.
We'll summarise this very simply. Manchester United, that's right, Manchester United, could not beat Huddersfield Town. Huddersfield Town are bottom of the Premier League. They were relegated since 2012. And they don't score goals. They've got nothing to play for at all. And you've got Manchester United, who are still, statistically in with a shout of Champions League football at that time. Spurs obviously lost. Arsenal went on to draw. So, had they've got 3 points, then it would have gone down to the last game of the season. And I'm sure you agree with me. We don't deserve to get Champions League football.
Not at all.
We never have done at any point this season.
Nope.
But there was still that incentive to get 3 points.
I made my peace about 5 games ago, and I said this to Becky. I said, it's the hope that kills you.
Yeah.
It's the hope that kills you. And you go into it and you think, oh, well, we could maybe do this. And, if they do this and they do this, we could do this. I'm lost for words that United can't beat Huddersfield.
Yeah, we knew deep down it was never going to happen. We knew we weren't going to qualify for the Champions League. You went as far to say that on episodes it isn't going to happen. I kind of knew, but I was still kind of saying that it is possible, because it was possible.
It was never possible.
And when you have something to play for, then you expect them to go and play for it. Now, they could have beaten Huddersfield, and they probably would have blown it in the last game anyway. Okay, all the results wouldn't have gone away, in which would have allowed them to qualify. But like you've just said, I can't believe that they didn't have it in them to beat Huddersfield Town. Everyone's beaten Huddersfield Town. Everyone.
Everybody's beaten.
Apart from Wolves, who have lost both games to Huddersfield, which is weird.
Yeah, that's kind of strange, isn't it?
But United, everyone has dicked on Huddersfield.
I know.
When we won in the late minutes, even I fooled myself into thinking that this was going to happen. But United thought that the game finished after 8 minutes.
Pogba did it at the bar. On another day, it would have been a good goal. Yeah, that's the only positive.
And Chong worked the keeper, and we worked the keeper a couple of times, but there was that 60-minute spell in between the goal and when they actually realised, maybe we should try something here.
Bro.
All I'm going to say, just when is, because we know it was a complete shambles, Scott McTominay and Ander Herrera. The only 2 players with a little bit of credibility.
McTominay there's very few players that will come out of this season with any credit, right?
He's one of them.
Victor Lindelof. De Gea's got a lot of credit in the bank, right? So even though he's had a relatively poor season, he's forgiven for that. So, he's no problem. So we said Victor Lindelof, he'll come out with a lot of praise. Scott McTominay will come out with a lot of praise, purely off the character that he's shown. When United lose, he loses as well, and it hurts him, and he doesn't hide it well, and that's a good thing because it shows character and it shows passion, and the fans appreciate that. So whilst technically Scott McTominay is quite limited, he does have a job in that squad over the course of a season. So I can see him doing. I can see him having a relatively decent.
He showed some promising performances as well, namely against Barcelona at home. He was very good.
He did,
PSG away, he was very good as well. So he showed some mature performances. In recent times, I think he's probably up there with our top goal scorers as well, because he scored 2 or 3 goals of late as well. So he'll come out with some credit, and the Herrera as well. We'll believe will still come out.
Herrera on his way to PSG though. That's pretty much confirmed now. So
it is, but he always gives us everything.
Yeah,
Again,
he's
someone who. Ability-wise will always be that little bit limited, but what you can't question is his attitude and his will to want to win.
Yeah, no, that's very true. That is very true.
Aside from those 3, maybe half a season for Rashford.
Do you know, I didn't realise, and somebody pointed this out on Twitter, and I think it is actually true, is that Marcus Rashford is actually playing whilst he's injured. So he isn't actually fully fit.
Yeah.
I don't know why he is. I think it's a groin injury he's got. Again, if someone else knows, please fill me in. But if that's the case, I'm curious as to why Solskjaer is persistent with him.
To do so, yeah.
Because with certain sections of fans, it reflects badly on Rashford, where they go, he's not trying and he's not doing this. But the guy is injured. Like, what more do you want from him? He's showing up and he's trying.
Be interested to know the story behind that.
I'd be very curious to know the story behind that. Yeah. There was no for example, was Martial injured on the weekend?
I don't know.
He wasn't in the squad. He wasn't there, which again I find very strange, considering if Rashford is injured, would you not just put Martial in and give Rashford a break until the end of the season?
Yeah, it's fair point. Fair point indeed.
But one thing I wanted to ask you very quickly, actually, bro. Sorry to cut you off. United's end of season awards are coming up. I don't know if it's tonight or if it's this week at some point. Who would you give Player of the Season to? Because they give a Player of the Season award. I was curious as to who you would give it to.
I think it has to be one of the ones that we've named.
Would you say Lindelof?
Lindelof is up there. McTominay not quite, because
he's only done it sporadically.
And he's only recently had a decent run of games as well. It'd be nice to see Herrera have it for the send-off value.
It's not a bad shout, actually.
Lindelof or Herrera.
Yeah,
I hope fucking Pogba doesn't get it.
No, he won't get it.
Or Rashford.
No.
Rashford has been okay this season, and he went through a very good spell. where he done a lot for us. But outside of that, I think it's going to have to be Lindelof or Herrera.
Yeah,
I don't think you can give it to anyone else.
Yeah.
If I was Solskjaer, I would just give them all a medal each. You know, little thank you for participating medal that you get in football presentation.
I wouldn't give them anything.
And that's it. And nobody's winning any big awards this year because...
I would invite Lindelof and McTominay on stage along with De Gea and Herrera and maybe Luke Shaw. But that's about it. And I would invite them on and I'd say, everybody in the room, please clap them. And I'd say, these are the guys you want to emulate next season. Though that dressing room won't be there next season anyway. Yeah. Hopefully, touch wood.
Yeah. And then, just one thing that I would like to point out as well that really frustrates me. The best thing this United side can now do is get the Cardiff game over and done with. I don't care. It doesn't really matter what the score is or the result is.
Play the kids.
If you can, get the youngsters out there. If you get a result, great. If you don't, it's irrelevant.
Okay, Cardiff aren't playing for nothing either. So
you see United players on social media coming up with, "You deserve better. We go again. We know we need to be better." Blah blah blah. Fucking blah. We've had that for the last.
Ashley Young said they showed a lot of character, or something along those lines, which was the biggest load of bullshit I've heard in my life.
And Juan Mata on his blog or his website put, "You deserve better." I can't remember who else it was said.
In fact, I like Juan Mata though. I don't think he's part of the problem.
But they don't understand that them saying these things now. So saying I can't remember who else it was as well. Put on their social media, "We'll go again." Well, it's okay saying that once.
Probably Dallo or something.
It's okay saying that once, right?
Yeah.
Or "we go again." When game after game after game after game we aren't going again, it loses its value. And I don't want to see this shit on social media. What I want to see is play whatever kids we have, end on a high, try and get the win, and I want you to be as quiet as fucking possible through the summer now. Let Solskjaer get out as much of the shit as he can, if he can.
It starts with that. That has to be the starting point.
And then I don't want to hear a peep out of these United players on social media until next season.
I'm going to end it with this, right? Season ends next week. Everybody just goes away. 1st of June, Ollie Solskjaer sits down, gives Edward with a list and says, "I want these players gone." Mm-hmm. I fully expect those players to be gone by the 1st of July. 1st of July, United have their transfer targets. The 2nd of July, I want 5 different bids submitted to different clubs saying we want this player. Mm-hmm. How hard is that to do? Is it that difficult? I sometimes feel like football is overcomplicated. He's not good enough, he is. Just get them gone. Sometimes in business, you'll have to take a hit and go like, you know what, it didn't work out. Buying a football player is trial and error. You don't know if you're going to get what you think you're going to get. So if they haven't done it, just acknowledge the fact that they're not right for the job and go, okay, right. That's what should happen. 1st of June, they all sit down and they go, right, who's going? Okay, they're going. I want them gone. There's a full month to get them gone, right? Come the 2nd of June then, your top 5 or top 3 to 5 transfer targets, there should be bids submitted on the 2nd of July for them. Make your intentions clear, make a statement and say, we want you to come and join our club. It's that simple. And maybe for some people they go, oh, it's a little more complicated than that. It's not. All you have to do is just fucking make decisions that are in line with the football club. It's relatively easy. He's not good enough, he is. He needs to stay, he doesn't. What's so hard about that?
Exactly. And there you have it.
And that's it.
What I'm just going to say is that there are some horrendous stats here.
I don't even want to know.
And this is what I'm going to say. There are some horrendous stats about United. And we like stats. You know that. We love stats.
I love stats. That's our friend.
And on the V&V podcast, we're known for coming up with some absolutely brilliant stats. And I'm just going to let you know that there are some awful stats from a United fans' perspective.
United fans might want to fast forward this.
For anybody else, you may enjoy them. What I'm not going to do is read them because I don't want to read them. I've quickly glanced over them.
Oh, there's some bad ones in there.
We don't need to see this.
There's one I'm looking at that's really bad.
I'm just going to move the lid of the laptop. For anybody that's watching who would like to see these stats, by all means head to Sky Sports or BBC Sport. You bring up the match result. Just scroll down the page, you'll find the stats. But that's as much as you're getting. I'm not reading them.
No, I don't. I'm
not doing it. Any Liverpool fans, City fans, any Chelsea
Liverpool fans,
whatever.
to be honest with you, you should be more concerned about winning the league. Don't worry about United, because United are at least 5 seasons away from doing anything.
Yeah,
absolutely anything.
But in the interest of humour, if you do want to read some funny stats, I'm not going to read them for you, but you can. Knock
yourselves out. All right, cool. Salute to Huddersfield because they got a point. That's as much as I'm going to mention Huddersfield. We'll very quickly touch upon Chelsea as well. Just before we go, it started off bad. It's come good. Chelsea now have qualified for the Champions League. They could win the Europa League. There's a silver lining there, right? It's ended okay.
I'm just wondering if that's 2.915 millimeters away from going over the line.
If you wonder why my heart just stopped, then this is now just become a reaction video. We may have to go to an interval and come back for a third time. I think we're going to have to in a minute. Right, let's just have a look at this. Read this out, what's just happened for the people, because my heart just stopped.
Okay, so there is a chance for City. A few millimetres was as much as City scored by at Burnley last weekend, and they think they've done it again when Aguero's near post header from the corner hits the bar and bounces down towards the line before Schmeichel palms it away.
Oh my God.
There's actual cheers in the stands momentarily, but after Mike Dean checks his watch, he waves play on. They look at the goal line technology review. I mean, you can't see this, but it may actually be 2.915 millimeters away from over the line.
Oh my God, that is close. Fuck it hell.
There's maybe a third of the ball that's over that's on the line.
Yeah, it might be a little more than the It's a little more than 3 millimeters.
But yeah, I mean, you can see the ball is clean over the line, but that's very close.
Oh, that is close. How many minutes in are we? 35.
It's 34, and the momentum apparently is very much with City in the last few minutes. So
yeah,
there's a case.
City are well on top. It says there a rare touch for Ederson with 37 minutes in almost. So City are really sort of putting their foot on the accelerator. Nah, there's nothing.
Stats. So City 60% possession. Yeah, they're dominating, but at the moment it's 0-0.
Yeah, cool. All right, we'll just go to a quick interval. We'll come back. We will round up with Chelsea, player of the weekend, and a few other bits and pieces. Stay tuned. All right, V&V Podcast, episode 40. The gang is back. We're going to round it up with Chelsea and a few other bits and pieces. We're not going over all the Premier League guys because most of it's sewn up, to be honest with you. It's only to really go over sort of the top 4, the title race, and the relegation, the stories. That's it. Everything else is sort of a non-story. Chelsea, okay.
Yeah.
Right, so we were saying that Chelsea could potentially win the Europa League. They're definitely in the Champions League next season.
Yeah.
There's the plus points.
Indeed.
The negatives is the transfer embargo is still ongoing. They have sent in an appeal, which I was reading about earlier on, so I did my research on it. That appeal is going to be heard pretty shortly, but as it stands, Chelsea are banned from signing players for 2 windows. But they do have Pulisic to come in. Now, Hazard was asked by Chelsea fans on the weekend, are you going to stay? He laughs and shakes his head. I don't know if he's shaking his head just because that's what, it's just a reaction where you just laugh and shake your head, or if he was shaking his head to say no. But he is featured in the promo for Chelsea's new kit that's coming out.
Yes, I wouldn't read too much into
that. I wouldn't read too much into that either. That's just a marketing ploy by Chelsea to get kits sold. He's the main guy, so that's why. But if Chelsea win the Europa League, has it been a decent season for them?
Yeah, I mean it's been decent is probably the right word.
Decent.
There are fine margins because
at one point it was going to shit.
Yeah, and I mean, we say about Arsenal having an average season, average or not so good season, and then saying that Chelsea have had a decent season. The fine lines that could define that is if Chelsea win the Europa League, they would end up with a trophy. Yeah. And obviously trophies, and no matter what they are success to a certain extent. And they mean things to fans as well. There's cup finals. And if they do, they're in the Champions League as well. So there's that just subtle difference of Champions League football or not Champions League football next season. And if Arsenal don't get it, Chelsea do, and they get a trophy, then that is a decent season. It's a pretty decent season.
Yeah, I'd say it's a decent season considering all things aside. At one stage, the Sarri out boys were just screaming for him to go.
there's a lot of people I know, a few Chelsea fans who are still saying Sarri out. I still think Sarri should go, even if he wins a trophy. I know I gave you that stat a while back that Abramovich has never kept a manager that hasn't won a trophy in their first season.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, that'll be very interesting.
Because if he does win the Europa League, then he has won a trophy, so that run can continue. But I still don't think he's the manager to take them forward.
Yeah.
It's more so the fact that Chelsea have been the best of a bad bunch.
They have.
Rather than
being outstanding.
Yeah, no. They have had an upturn in form. They have played better. But it hasn't taken much. It only needed one side to put a run of results together.
Well, the penny's dropped with Loftus-Cheek. I mean, he scored again. He's in terrific run of form. The penny dropped with Hudson-Odoi. They should have been playing from the start. Those lads are Premier League ready. The more you play them, the better they become.
And Loftus-Cheek was very good away at Eintracht Frankfurt as well.
Yeah, he was.
He's very good there. Why they took him off and put Kovacic on, I don't know.
Kovacic is going back to Madrid next season, I think, with Zidane. And look, for me, Loftus-Cheek starts ahead of him each and every time. Yeah. Each and every time.
But and another bizarre one, that Sarri actually came out and said that because Kante got injured, and he got taken off in 10 minutes, and actually said it was my fault. I shouldn't have played him. I should have rested him. Which is poor management, that is, really, because if he's wise enough after to come out and recognise and say that I knew he was injured, but I played him anyway.
Yeah.
I understand that you take risks. I understand that, but it's that fine line, isn't it? If you know that your player is carrying an injury, you don't really tend to play them unless it's an absolute just do or die game.
It's not like they haven't got options. They got plenty of options as well.
So that was a bit of a weird one, and I think he could miss the rest of the season now, Kante.
Yeah.
And when you go into the Europa League final potentially, he's kind of one of the players that you want on your pitch. So a little bit of a poor decision making there, but that's kind of really the only negative in what's been a period of a few positives for Chelsea, actually.
Yeah, the season's ended very well for them. It'll be interesting to see what happens with that transfer embargo, because to the best of my knowledge, Higuain can't join if that's the case, because he's only on loan. Pulisic can definitely join, but beyond that, if Hazard goes, they have to replace him with Pulisic. I mean, if anybody else decides to go, I mean, can they pick up free transfers, or can they not sign anybody?
They can't sign anybody.
Not even on a free. That would make sense, actually, that they can't sign anybody.
Don't think so, yeah.
To the best of my knowledge. Again, correct us if we're wrong.
Yeah, I don't think they can. But, like you've said, the season's ended as well as it could have up to this point. If they win the Europa League, then from where they were to where they could potentially end up, it's as good as it could have gone.
Yeah, totally.
And if you're a Chelsea fan, yes, you'll want more, obviously, and yes, you may want a different manager in charge, but they are going to be limited to what they can do, with the transfer, issue.
Yeah, transfer embargo.
The transfer embargo, which is still getting dealt with at the moment, but it looks to stay the way it is. But yeah, Chelsea fans, they are going to want more, but I think considering where they were, it's not a bad situation they can end up in.
No, it's not at all. It's actually a very good situation.
Yeah. Hazard, he's assisted 15 league goals this season, more than any other player in the big 5 European leagues. So
I miss him if he goes mine. Just from a neutral standpoint, he's one of my favourite
Just to
players.
point out, actually, so Hazard, so we did say Ryan Fraser had 14 assists, which was the most in the top 5 leagues. I did forget Hazard had 2 assists on Sunday, which actually puts him top of that chart. So take that away from Ryan Fraser, he's obviously still up there, but just to be correct.
That's some great company to be a part of, because Hazard's a wonderful
I did mention
player.
Hazard as well.
Yeah, you did, yeah. Irrespective of what people say, because there are a lot of Hazard haters out there. He's a fucking brilliant football player. That's the end of the discussion.
And another one as well, just to back that up, he's been directly involved in 31 Premier League goals for Chelsea this season. That's 15 assists, but that's 16 goals as well as that. Only Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank in 2000, Frank Lampard in 2009, and Drogba in 2009 as well have had a hand in more goals in a single campaign.
It's like I said with the Rondon stat earlier on, only Hazard has been involved in a higher percentage of goals this season. So Hazard's a wonderfully gifted football player. The criticism he gets, I don't really understand it.
No, I don't either. The only sort of negative stat this year about Chelsea is that they've actually named a starting 11 with no English players for the 20th time in the league this season.
It's poor from them.
Which is poor, because you want to see English players coming through. more often than what it does at Chelsea. But that's not news to us.
No, it's
at Chelsea
not.
Football Club.
Yeah, no, it isn't. I had a really interesting article I found earlier on, and this is going to surprise a lot of people. You may not have seen this, or you may have seen it earlier when I was bringing it up. Jose Mourinho came out and he was talking about Jorginho. And do you know what he said about Jorginho?
Mm-hmm.
This is what he said. This is an actual statement, right? So he said, for me, Jorginho is the best midfielder in Europe. He has a quality that no one else has. The way he controls the game, how he recovers the ball in transition, and how he can withstand the pressure, I don't see others like him around. I'm going to beg to differ on that, because I don't think he's been that great at times for Chelsea. I think he's been a bit of a liability, in fact. He is a very good football player, and maybe next season we'll see the best of him, because it does take a little bit of time to settle into the Premier League. But there was times when he did not look like a £50 million player.
No.
He really didn't. And, when we say, Jose Mourinho said he's got quality no one else has.
I haven't seen that.
I haven't seen a lot of that.
Jose's a very intelligent man. Maybe he sees something that we don't, but
the Jorginho at Napoli, now, okay, fair enough, you could make an argument for that, but he hasn't done it in a Chelsea shirt. When you say he has a quality no one else has,
what is that?
Sergio Busquets put in an absolutely outstanding performance in midweek against Liverpool. It was absolutely perfect. When I look at that from a defensive midfield standpoint, is Jorginho doing that? No, he's not doing that. When I look at somebody who is playing forward passes from a deep lying position, is he potentially the best in the world at it? I don't know, maybe he is. But we haven't seen it this season.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
No, fair point. I mean, like you say, he's only had one season in the Premier League. It hasn't gone very well. But next season he can build on that. But the difficulty is that if Sarri's going to be the manager and he can't sign anyone, then what's really going to change?
Well, it'll be an interesting season for Chelsea because Sarri seems to think next season they can be better than they were this season. If they finish third and win a Europa League, I don't really know how you top that next season because they're not getting past Liverpool and they're not getting past City.
Yeah.
And Spurs will be coming up behind them pretty quickly. I don't think United and Arsenal will do too much. So yeah, it'll be interesting. Yeah, it's going to be really good. Yeah. But shout out to Chelsea though. They're in the Champions League. I said they would come fifth, so that's where I put them. Or maybe it's either Arsenal or Chelsea.
It'd be interesting to see what we actually said because I don't really remember.
I fully remember United being third, Spurs being fourth, and Chelsea and Arsenal outside of the top, outside the top four. So for Chelsea to be in there, that's pretty decent.
Part of me thinks about United second. Might have been third.
You weren't to know. None of us were to know what shit show was going to was to be ensued at this point because
exactly.
It just went terrible. But yeah, shout out to Chelsea though. They're in the Champions League. They are looking likely to go into the Europa League final. Not too shabby at all.
Exactly.
Yeah, very good. Only a few other things I wanted to bring up. Cardiff are relegated, so we get a South Wales derby next season.
We do,
which is terrific. That'll be a very good game. Cardiff flattered to deceive in the Premier League. The only good thing that's actually happened was the Neil Warnock meme that's come out on the weekend,
that is brilliant.
where he's sort of gurning in front of the camera for some odd reason.
Oh, he's an odd one.
There's odd, and then there's really odd, and that with the background music. Have you seen all the
it's in the Bittersweet Symphony.
The internet is undefeated, people. Yeah. You cannot get away with anything. At some point, God willing, we're famous enough.
You can't get away with
someone
anything.
Makes a meme about us.
When he does it voluntarily,
I don't know what he was thinking.
I don't understand, but
he looked like it. You know what? And I don't really want to offend anybody. I'm probably going to. Sometimes you see an old person with dementia and they're looking at you and they're like just sort of looking like they're like in this. They're like who's that? That's what Neil Warnock looked like. He had dementia.
Yeah, no, that's not a bad shout.
No, it's true.
Neil Warnock has created his own highlight reel this season, not for the right reasons really, but he'll be remembered.
He will. Don't get me wrong, Cardiff are unlucky at certain points of the season as well.
The only positive you can say, there's not many positives from relegation. We all said that Cardiff were relegated from the point they were promoted. It has turned out to be the case, but they made a better go at it than what people thought they would.
They did.
They stayed alive until the 37th fixture, which The last time they were up, I don't think they were anywhere near that, but that's the biggest positive that I can give.
Yeah, it's not been an easy season. Warnock has come across not so great at times. There's a bit of a clown, shall we say. Yeah,
and they did well to come up, and I think that showed.
Yeah, the whole Salah situation was very unfortunate as well. So, and we were just discussing actually during the interval that Emiliano Salah's father passed away as well. So, rest in peace to the two of them. Very sad time for the Salah family. Again, it's not a lot to discuss about the relegation. Cardiff are down. We get a South Wales derby next season, which for us in South Wales is a terrific game. Anybody that gets a chance to watch it on TV next season, please do. You won't be disappointed. It really is that good. They're really good. That was what I wanted to discuss about relegation. There's two other things I wanted to bring up. Actually, no, three other things I wanted to bring up.
Okay.
Do player of the weekend last. Remind me before we go to do that. Casillas had a heart attack.
He did.
Now, as a guy here who is a physical specimen, as you can see, the CrossFit king, if you anybody looking for personal training, hit up Becky as well. Okay. You know where to go on his IG. We had this weird conversation with someone the other day, right? And he said to me, do you think footballers are too fit? Does that make sense to you? Like, why would Casillas have a heart attack?
I don't.
And I know you're not a doctor, right? So I'm not asking you specifically, but he said to me, are footballers too fit to the point where they stretch their bodies so far that it would create something like that?
I don't personally think so.
I don't know enough about health to answer it.
What I would look at more so is what is. So I haven't actually read that much into it, but have they explained the reason as to why Casillas has had a
I don't think there's been a specific reason. He's out of hospital now. He's in hospital for 5 days. But I don't understand how an athlete he's 35, right? So he's no spring chicken, but at the same time, he's been physically fit. I can't ever remember Casillas being injured for an extended period of time and then all of a sudden to have a heart attack. And bear in mind, he's moved clubs, so he will have had a very rigorous medical to go to Porto from Real Madrid, which would have tested his heart as well, which would have been fine at that point. So I'm very curious as to how something like that happens.
And I don't know the answer to that. There's probably a medical explanation. Well, I say probably there is a medical explanation as to why that occurs. But no, the notion that our football players too fit is rubbish, because people have heart attacks all the time, and that could be in football, it could be in other sports, it could be people who are not athletes, it could be people who are overweight, people who aren't overweight. You could have just your average Joe that goes to the gym 3 times a week and maybe does a bit of running, and he could have a heart attack. We just don't hear about those people. Obviously Iker Casillas, because of how big of a name that he is. How rare is it that players have heart attacks in football?
Heart issues are cropping up more and more.
But it's still not.
It's still very, very
you
rare.
had the Muamba issue a few years back now.
A few others as well.
So I don't think that you can be too fit as a footballer. I just think it's one of those things that just happens every once in a while.
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
If they use Casillas as a case study to try and look at heart. I was going to say heart injury is not the right word. Heart issues. But I just wanted to bring that up. I'm glad he's okay. He is really an iconic goalkeeper as well. So shout out to him. I'm glad he's doing well. I'm glad I got your opinion on it, because that's your world. That's not mine. One other thing I wanted to go over, and this was very interesting. I don't know if you actually saw this, and a lot of people may have seen it. A French journalist put out a tweet over the weekend. And it was in relation to PSG, the owners of PSG. And the owners of PSG are very unhappy with how things have gone at PSG, to the point where they feel like it's being reflected badly. I think it's on the state of Qatar, if I remember it correctly. And again, correct me if I'm wrong. But essentially what he was saying is that PSG's results, especially in the Champions League, have been so poor that PSG are now going to pull out funding. Qatar, or the owners, are going to pull a lot of funding from PSG, which I find really interesting, because we talked about Manchester City and how sustainable is the Manchester City project. Well, it seems like the PSG owners are starting to knock it on the head. And that would be very interesting if they do, because A, it would make the French league much more competitive, and B, what do we do with Mbappe and Neymar? Because if they're going to pull funding, those two are going to go, hang on a minute.
Cavani.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something right. Where are they going to go?
Well, Neymar goes to Madrid. Mbappe goes to Barcelona
to replace Messi.
Yeah.
Well, that is the long and short of it. But I found it very interesting that they are looking at those Champions League results and they've gone, we've spent the best part of, I don't know how much they've spent, but it's going to be 300-400 million.
Yeah.
And they're not even getting past the quarterfinals. Mm-hmm. And they've gone, okay, enough's enough there. Yeah. We're not putting any more money into this. And also,
the league has been wrapped up for them for a long time, but they
lost the cup final.
They lost the cup final. They were 2-0 up. And then they've only won one of their last 6 games, which in the league that they're in, facing the quality, and that's no disrespect to these other sides, because Lyon on the day are a decent side, Marseille as well, Lille, but these aren't world-class sides, far from it.
No.
And these are sides that PSG, with the money they've spent and the team that they've assembled, should be beating with ease, and they're not.
And Neymar punched a fan. Neymar's a bollocks, man, isn't he?
Punches is kind of like a shit word, really, because it was a shit punch. But he did throw a form of punch at a fan, which is horrendous. It
wasn't an Anthony Joshua punch, but it was a punch nonetheless.
It was a Neymar punch. It was a proper Neymar punch.
Ironically, I was expecting Neymar to go down after and start rolling around.
But no, interesting point that you raise, because we don't know how sustainable these projects are.
Well, bro, I'd be amazed if the PSG project continues another 10 years. And if it does, it's definitely with different owners.
Yeah, exactly. And I think they realise that after winning 1 or 2 French leagues, that it's just a pointless trophy for them to win, really.
Bro, we've said this before, right, about Qatari owners and owners in the Middle East. They've got everything. Mm-hmm. And when I say they've got everything twice. There is nothing that they cannot afford, right? The only thing that they haven't got is the adulation of the people that aren't in their country. Mm-hmm. The way you do that is by buying a football club, and you almost buy people's love by having success. They're struggling to buy people's love. They thought they would invest all this money, they'd become European champions over and over, they'd be this iconic team. It hasn't worked out like that, and football isn't that simple, and they're now finding out the hard way that it doesn't work like that.
I think even if they were to get to like a semi or a Champions League final, it would do something just to sort of
get the monkey off the back a little bit.
And just say, look, well, they're making inroads. They're close.
Yeah.
It's coming. The fans will be saying, look, we're not quite there yet, but it's going to happen.
Yeah.
But the fact that they keep getting knocked out in the quarter final says they've got a long way to go.
Yeah, there's still a long way to go. And Herrera isn't going to make a difference there either, by the way.
Or Decore, because there was linked with him down there as well. So. Very interesting to see what happens there.
Okay, cool. We'll round it up. Player of the weekend?
That's a good question. Have you got yours already?
Yeah.
You can go yours.
Purely off the basis that his courage and leadership helped see them through Van Dijk.
Okay. I am going to go for... I do have 2.
Okay. No, that's cool.
My first one is going to be Arnautovic.
Okay, yeah, decent shout. Had a good weekend.
He came in and scored 2 goals. My second one I was going to go in for, which I can't even remember now. Please do bear with me. Arnautovic is my player of the weekend.
Yeah, but you had one more special mention.
I did have another mention, and it was for Ruben Loftus-Cheek.
Okay, good shout. Yeah, Loftus-Cheek is a good shout. He played very well. Yeah, he did. All right, cool. We'll wrap it up there. We're going to have a short break, and by a short break, I mean it's roughly about a month or so, give or take. Becky is away next week. Mr. Worldwide is pulling out his passport again, and he's going. I've got things to do as well, but when we are back, it's time to level up, people. Mm-hmm. We'll hopefully have a few special guests on. We've got our transfer videos coming as well. So fear not, even though we're gone for around a month, we'll still interact with everyone on Twitter. Yeah. Next episode, you can all send your questions in to us. We'll answer them because we'll just be rounding up the season. So we'll get a few questions. We can look at our
predictions as well.
We'll look at our predictions as well. So yeah, we'll have roughly in June, I think we will have the best part of maybe 10 videos coming out. So fear not, whilst there is a small hiatus, there's a lot of content coming over the summer.
There's a lot in the pipeline as well. There's good things to come.
Good things to come. Yeah. So again, 40 episodes deep. Thank you everybody that fucks with us, man. God, I fucking love you people so much. Like, it means the world to us. Subscriber count is going up again. Views are going up again. I'm gonna call it and say we're the #1 football podcast in Swansea. We're the number 4, maybe in Wales. I don't know any others. that are doing numbers like us on YouTube right now, although there are a few that are coming up quite close. So shout out to us again. Shout out to all you people. Remember, subscribe, hit the like button, hit the bell, get notifications direct to your device. Till next time, people, we are out. Thank you for being with us this season. Till next time. Ciao.